Recording in progress.
The time is 6:31. This is a special study session for the Emeryville City Council. Madam Clerk, the roll.
Councilmember Pryforce is absent. Councilmember Solomon? Here. Councilmember Welch?
Here.
Vice Mayor Carr?
Present.
And Mayor Mora.
At this time, we will approve the final agenda. Members, is there a motion?
Sure, I can make the motion to approve the final agenda.
I will second.
Madam Clerk, the roll.
Councilmember Pryforce is absent. Councilmember Solomon? Councilmember Welch?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Carr?
Aye.
And Mayor Mora.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Now is the time for ex parte communications. Members, do you have any ex parte communications to report? Seeing and hearing none, we'll now move to public comment. Are there any members of the public who would like to comment on items not on the agenda for the study session? Seeing none, we'll now move to item 6.1. This is the study session for the Capital Improvement Program updates.
So, good evening, City Council. Mohammed Alawi, Public Works Director, and we are here today to discuss updates to the Capital Improvement Program as allocated by the 25-27 approved budget. Next slide. As a refresher, a Capital Improvement Program is the document by which Council allocates funding for public projects. Back in 2023, we restructured our CIP 23 to 28 in order to improve our overall efficiency in project delivery. This included a streamlined structure that reduces project categories and consolidated legacy projects, clearer priorities that introduce new values to guide our decision-making, and a new format that made the document more legible to the public. Moving forward in this presentation, we'll go over Public Works accomplishments from the 23-28 CIP. Then we will go over the approved 25-27 funding for our CIP from the council-approved city budget, which directed resources to high-priority projects as identified by the city council goals and priorities. Next slide. The facility resiliency upgrades project is a critical part of our overall program. We have installed as part of this project 10 new EV chargers with 16 charging ports, 3 chargers at City Hall, 4 at our Corp Yard, and 3 at the Police Department for a total construction cost of approximately $240,000. Next slide. As part of the Civic Center upgrades project, we are in the process of expanding the garden-level conference room for the purpose of hosting committee meetings. The budget for this project is $70,000. Next slide. As part of the Corporation Yard Improvements Project, we are in the process of awarding a design contract for the construction of a new Corporation Yard to be located on the existing FMW site for a total design contract value of $659,000. We need to move from our existing location since it is the current location is slated for a development project that is in the pipeline. Next slide. Here we have our Civic Center carpet replacement project. The new carpet was installed back in 2023. The construction contract value was $191,000. Next slide. As part of the general major maintenance program, over the past 2 years, we have completed several facilities projects at the approximate cost of $350,000 in construction work. One involved repainting the ECDC, the Early Childhood Development Center, installation of new cabinets at ECDC, and new exterior lights at the ECDC. At the Police Department, we replaced the solar inverter and did the same at the Civic Center. We installed new HVAC units at Fire Station 35, and we installed new exterior lights at the Police Department. Next slide. As part of the Civic Center exterior painting project, we are completing the final touch-ups. This included painting both Town Hall and the Civic Center, as well as replacing the windows on Old Town Hall. Currently, we are finalizing the installation of a few windows at the garden level. After that, trim painting on the exterior is all that remains. In total, we are replacing 42 windows and repairing 8. This work was implemented via 2 separate contracts, $207,000 for the paving work and $268,000 for the window replacements, for a total cost of $475,000. Next slide. As part of the Civic Center HVAC project, a new boiler at the Civic Center has been installed. The new air handler AC unit is on its way to installation, at which point the project should be complete. Total construction contract for this project is $816,000. Next slide. Dredging at the marina has been completed. The project removed approximately 15,195 cubic yards of sediment from the 11.3 acre entrance channel in order to maintain an 8.5 foot depth within the channel. This is a cost that we share with Emery Cove, since the navigation channel is a joint maintenance responsibility. The total spent on the contract was $665,000. Next slide. As part of the Powell Street sewer project, we explored realignment of the sewer line. It proved to be over 4 times the cost of rehabilitation in place. The very initial cost range for rehabilitation is between $1.5 to $2.5 million, and the cost range for realignment is between $8 to $10 million. We are continuing our engineering analysis at this point, but our very early assessment is that realignment is likely to be out of our budget. Next slide. The Stormwater Management Project is an ongoing program we use to manage our stormwater system. To date, we have provided a GIS storm drain infrastructure update. We have conducted a storm drain system field inspection and condition assessment. We have developed an updated storm drain system maintenance program, and we have investigated known storm drain system flooding hotspots. Next slide. The scope of the city sewer laterals project is to rehabilitate or replace sewer laterals for city facilities. 7 sewer laterals have been replaced and 3 are remaining for various city facilities. The total construction cost for this contract is at $270,000. Next slide. Here we have our sanitary sewer rehabilitation program. Construction work for this was completed in 2024 and included the repair of 7 defective pipe segments that were at an elevated risk to cause a sewer overflow. This included locations at MacArthur, Lacoste, 53rd Street, Shell Mound, and Ohlone. The total construction costs were $450,000. Next slide. The hydraulic separator project was installed in 2023. The separator captures 15% of our storm drain system's trash, which is the equivalent of 50 storm drains, and allows our maintenance team to vacuum out all the trash at once. This was a grant-funded project by Caltrans. The construction contract was $680,000 for this work. Next slide. We held a ribbon cutting for our Quiet Zone project back in August 2024. The total project cost was $12 million. The project enhances safety at railroad crossings in Emeryville by implementing various supplemental safety measures, signal improvements at 65th and 67th Street, combined with the closure of 66th Street. As a result, the neighborhood is much quieter. And this particular project is also strategic plan priority item number 9, as you can see at the bottom of the slide. Next slide. As part of the vehicle replacement project, a total of 9 F-150 Lightning EV trucks and 1 EV Bolt were purchased by Public Works for $578,000. Additionally, 6 administrative vehicles, 1 DUI enforcement truck, and 1 DUI enforcement motorcycle were purchased by PD for a total value of $435,000. $125,000 of the PD money was grant money for the DUI vehicles. Altogether, $1,013,000 has been spent procuring EVs for the city. Next slide. Our Sustainable Streetscape project is currently underway. The Triangle neighborhood and city parking lots were paved last summer. Hollis Street paving is scheduled for December. It will include an expanded plaza at the Powell-Hollis Street intersection with a new installation from our art program. Other intersections along Hollis Street have corner bulb outs and transit islands for enhanced pedestrian safety and improved transit efficiency. Approximately 40 benches in the marina are scheduled for installation in late winter. Over 100 bike racks have already been installed citywide. We are in the process of installing 38 solar lights at bus stop locations throughout the city. The current total project cost is approximately $9.5 million. Next slide. The ATP Studies Project is intended to take corridors from the ATP plan and study them further, gather community input, and build overall consensus. Currently, we are working on the West Powell corridor. To date, we have received input from many community meetings, including the high school and Watergate, as well as Transportation and Sustainability Committee and BPAC. The project concept is scheduled for council approval in the winter. The overall study budget is $250,000. For the traffic signals, next slide. For the traffic signals and streetlights project, we have installed passive pedestrian detection at 17 intersections citywide, accompanied by instructional signage and animal prints painted on the pavement. The total cost for this work to date is $284,000. Next slide. For the Marina Park and Powell Street lighting project, a total of 77 lights were installed as part of this, part of the work, the final elements of which were completed earlier this year. The total construction contract amount was $1.3 million. Next slide. For the Lumix streetlight pole painting and LED retrofit project, the work was completed in 2024. A total of 555 poles were repainted, 55 traffic signal controller boxes, and bridge railing at more than one location was also repainted. The total cost for this work was $1.8 million. Next slide. For our parks project, we have hired a park designer and have held initial meetings. This project has minor investments planned for parks citywide, as well as a significant nature play installation at the marina. Currently, the initial concept is still under early stages of development. Next slide. Our street study was completed, the street tree study was completed in November of 2023. Thereafter, we began preparation of an actual plan set for citywide tree planting. The total contract value for both the planning and design work was $259,000. Next slide. As part of the urban tree planting program, we are gearing up for a groundbreaking for this project in the next 2 months. We anticipate a 3 to 4 month duration to plant 125 trees, depending on the weather. This project also includes replacing trees lost from the previous storms at the marina. The total cost with contingencies for this construction contract comes to $890,000. At this point, I'd like to give Councilmember Pryforce the opportunity to leave, since we will be providing a brief mention of the 40th Street Multimodal Project. Next slide. Next slide. The 40th Street project commenced and is nearly completed in its design. Under direction of City Council, full and partial closures at side streets were added to the project, and the project was extended past IKEA to the Christie intersection along Shellmount Street. We have received 9 grants fully funding the project through construction to the tune of $31.5 million. Currently, the project is undergoing environmental review. The project falls under one of Council's top 4 priorities for the 2025 year as part of the strategic plan. Next slide. Yes.
Mohammed, excuse me, Mayor Moore, I would just like the record to reflect that Councilmember Pryforce left the meeting, left the dais out of abundance of caution regarding any discussion regarding the 40th Street project before Mohammed began his presentation. And we expect that he will return to the dais after Mohammed has completed his discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Kennedy.
As part of our 40th Street Bridge painting, again, separate from the 40th Street Multimodal Project, and actually was included with the overall pole painting project that we did citywide. The work was completed back in 2024. And at this point, I'd like to give an opportunity for Councilmember Pryforce to come back to the dais. After reviewing overall progress on the 23-28 CIP, we can see that 17 projects are at or near completion with a total construction value of $31.6 million. 7 projects have also progressed significantly. This is out of a total of 38 projects in the overall CIP that are under the purview of Public Works. Let's now explore the approved CIP allocations from the city budget from the 25-27 fiscal years. Next slide. So just to kind of orient everyone with these slides, you'll see the same projects reflecting the CIP book, but then we place a table that reflects the new numbers allocated from the 25-27 city budget. Green obviously means additional money, and red would be the opposite. An additional $100,000 was approved for the McLaughlin East Shore State Park project because the storm drain component of the work became more significant in order to meet the new water board regulatory requirements. Next slide. As part of the ADA transition plan, previous funds for this project were used to address ADA work in the Sustainable Streetscape project, and this is essentially replenishing those funds that had been used. Next slide. As part of the Facility Resiliency Upgrades project, these funds are to both install and upgrade solar arrays at various city facilities, Next slide. As part of the Stormwater Management Project, new funds were approved to address a list of newly discovered deficiencies in our storm drain system. Next slide. As part of the bridge maintenance program, our overall inventory of bridges has expanded, and our existing bridges are due for maintenance. Next slide. As part of the Powell Street Sewer Project, additional funds were allocated from this project from Fund 510, which is the sewer fund, and these funds are restricted to use on sewer projects only. And this is reflecting the anticipated increase in budget that we see from our initial engineering analysis. Next slide. This is a new project that we are introducing to the CIP because as of August this year, water regulatory reporting requirements have expanded and penalties for failure to comply have increased. This newly approved project is to fund the consulting work necessary to comply with the new regulations. As part of this work, we are installing 14 trash capture devices. The work is governed by the Federal Clean Water Act and administered by the state as part of our regional permit. Next slide. As part of the general major maintenance program, and this is essentially the fund source that we use to maintain all of our facilities, this moderate increase in funding reflects the effects of inflation in maintaining our various city facilities. Next slide. As part of the rehabilitation of city sewer laterals under mandatory EPA order to repair laterals of city facilities, this project has involved a CCTV investigation of 19 sewer laterals with repairs and replacements as needed. A total of 10 laterals required replacement. The additional funding was approved since more laterals required replacement. Next slide. As part of the Marine Navigation Channel Maintenance Dredging Program, funding was reduced for this project since the project was just completed, and we expect another 8 to 10 years before it needs to be dredged again. Next slide. As part of the Sanitary Sewer Rehabilitation Program, this additional money was approved to cover additional defects uncovered in our sewer system. Once again, these are from our restricted sewer fund. Next slide. As part of the Sustainable Streetscape projects, the increase in Sustainable Streetscape budget of $1 million over 2 years reflects the City Council's priority around pedestrian and bike projects. These funds not only cover traffic safety improvements and streetscape work, but they also fund our paving and sidewalk programs. Next slide. As part of the ATP Studies project funds were redistributed for the first fiscal year for this project, since we anticipated to finish the planning work on West Powell Street this fiscal year. Next slide. As part of the Parks projects, funding for this project was increased by $1 million to allow for the installation of a nature play park at the marina. This money is coming from the Marina Fund, which is restricted to use within the marina. Next slide. As part of the urban tree planting program, additional funding was added to cover the replacement of trees lost in the marina from previous storms. The increase was introduced for the first year, since that is when we are planting. These are also restricted marina funds. Next slide. We also wanted to discuss the regulatory requirements that have cost impacts on the CIP work that we do. Here is a list of these requirements, and different regulations apply to various projects depending on the project at hand. The Federal Clean Water Act is implemented throughout the Regional Water Quality Control Board and imposes additional costs on city, roadway, and building projects to reduce stormwater runoff and eliminate trash discharges into the bay. This translates into trash capture devices like drainage inlet screens and green infrastructure that capture rainwater, filter it through certain soil-plant combinations before releasing it back into the storm drain system. Costs associated with this work are significant and can reach up to 50% of the budget of a streetscape project. We also have the federal ADA and PROWAG requirements. Costs vary and can constitute a significant percentage of the cost of ped and bike work. They influence grading and traffic signals, both of which are significant costs for a project. Then we have the EPA consent decree, and this is the primary regulatory driver behind the city's work on the sewer system. It dictates precise metrics and timelines on repair and maintenance of our sewer system. Other regulatory requirements include CEQA and NEPA reviews that are mandatory for many capital projects and require extensive technical studies. Let's talk a little bit about timeline implications for these regulations. Environmental clearance can add 12 to 36 months to a project schedule, depending on the project complexity and the level of environmental review. Environmental studies in general, which are generally basically consultant services, can add anywhere from 10 to 20% or more to the project costs. Then grant funding requirements. Federal and state grants require strict reporting, auditing, and adherence to Caltrans, FHWA, and other funding agency rules, and can have similar cost implications for a project. Next slide. In conclusion, I'd like to express my gratitude to the City Council for funding this work and to the Public Works staff for carrying it out. I look forward to the work ahead and its role in improving the quality of life for the people of Emeryville, and I'm here to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mohammed. Members, any questions on the presentation? Member Welch?
Thank you, Mohammed, for that wonderful update and all the work that you all have been doing thus far. I did have a question about the 40th Street funding. I know that Congresswoman Simon was...
Can we take a pause here?
Oh, sorry. My apologies.
Thank you.
I know that Congresswoman Simon's team did come during that update and state that she was in the process of attempting to get us some additional funding for the project. And I was just wanted to ask if there was an update on regarding the additional up to, I believe it was up to $500,000, if you all had received an update regarding that just yet.
I'll bring over our project manager, Ryan O'Connell.
Hi, Ryan.
All right, I'm Ryan O'Connell, Senior Civil Engineer in Public Works. Just wanted to update you all. We had an update last week from our lobbyist Nicolo De Luca, that this money is still in the running. It's $500,000, and it does look like it's being projected to be in a minibus package that will be heard later this year. Actually, sorry, on January 31st of next year. So that's when we'll hear the news on it. So that's where we're at right now.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan.
Mayor Mora, if we could just ask if there's any other questions regarding 40th Street, that might be the most expeditious way of handling it before any other of the project updates are discussed.
Agreed. Members, are there any additional questions on 40th Street?
Sure, I can ask. I have some questions. Is it slide 27?
I believe so. We can check. We can bring up the slide.
When is the environmental review when is it scheduled to be completed?
At this point, we're hoping for completion in December.
And when will you have it before the council?
As soon as possible thereafter.
So you are expecting to receive the report in December?
We are hoping to. It's not a timeline that is in our control.
Okay, who is doing this environmental report?
It's being done by Caltrans.
Okay. Have you already met with them? It's my understanding that there was a meeting earlier this month.
There wasn't a meeting earlier this month, but we are in continuous communication with them.
Okay. What are the next steps after finalizing the environmental review?
We would bring it to City Council for approval. And then after that, we would proceed to bid out the project and then commence construction.
When is the design going to be finalized?
After Caltrans finishes its CEQA and NEPA work.
Is there going to be any kind of a study session or an item that'll come to council to finalize the design?
We'll be bringing the results of the CEQA and NEPA analysis, and at that point, that discussion can take place once we have those results.
Will that go to the Transportation Committee before it comes to the final council?
That's yet to be determined.
Okay. I have nothing further on this project.
Okay, we can ask Member Pryforce to return. Members, do we have any other questions on any of the other projects presented? Member Pryforce.
Sorry. Hey, Mohammed. Thank you for the presentation and just, I mean, the CIP and everything that you just presented. You know, it helps us. In terms of City Hall as a city to keep accountable to the taxpayers, and so I know that they appreciate the people of Emeryville appreciate everything that's happening. I had a question around as we were discussing the CIP, this iteration of the CIP, we talked about so the diversity, equity, like some projects having those labels attached so that people feel a little bit that they're included in the CIP, and it's not just like sort of the working poor whose tax dollars are just going into infrastructure projects that say that they benefit for everyone, but they may only benefit one side of Emeryville. And so, can you talk a little more about that? And I eventually have a question for Rebecca if she's back yet. But yeah, I have a question about the senior center. But yeah, can you speak a little bit about how that? Because you did mention the ADA, so you can probably even talk about that in terms of the pavement, sidewalk. stuff happening, the paving.
Sure. So essentially, as part of the 23-28 CIP, we had a list of values, and then we mentioned which project, basically which values apply to which project. As part of this work, nothing has changed. It's the same base assignment. The only new project that we introduced was ESI-06, which is a regulatory project. And if the question is specifically about equity, the value of equity would not be assigned to that particular project, if that answers the question.
And
And Member Pryforce, you had a question for Rebecca?
hey, sorry, Rebecca. Sorry. I know we talked a little bit about sort of modernizing the senior center. I forget in what aspects, but I know that was a question. And since it's going to be a while before we see the art center sort of built up, and so the senior center, ECCL, is going to be doing some of the heavy lifting in terms of providing those kind of public spaces. And so has that been affected in any way in terms of the planning for the CIP by our budgetary sort of issues and adjustments?
Not to my knowledge. Right now, the Senior Center and the ECCL both jointly offer multiple meetings and opportunities. We're able to handle all of the capacity right now, the requests. And I've been in close contact with Mohammed, working on him as we find things that we want to look to in the future, add to our CIP list for the Senior Center. Does that answer your question? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca. Members, any further questions for Mohammed?
I have a few on.
Vice Mayor?
Thank you. Where is this CIP update available to the public in terms of costs breakdown and the projects that are coming up?
So the cost breakdown per project is included in the approved 25-27 city budget.
And that's exactly my concern, the budget. This has been done way after the budget was approved. So is this something that is typically done before the budget is approved?
We are facing a resource constraint with a vacancy within our department, which is why we have, in order to daylight the information, have brought about this study session for additional discussion. But it was included as part of the 25-27 approved budget.
All right, so just for that sake, I just want to know if the budget is going to be updated based on the information that has been provided today?
So as a clarification, this is already this information was already approved as part of the 25-27 budget.
All right, so that's why I'm just wondering what is, in that case, what is the need of providing it today then?
It's essentially to provide additional detail and give council members an opportunity to ask additional questions.
I appreciate that very much, because there are some things that I think I would like to see more clarifications on, like maybe a table of costs and the projects and the grants associated with each project broken down. Previously, I had asked for some grant deadlines and requirements on a certain project. I just want to know when that will be available, and I look forward to it being available to also the public, not just the council.
Understood. Thank
Okay.
you for the feedback.
Can we go to slide 8, please? Okay, this is great. I think I was on the transportation committee when we approved this update, but there is a glaring thing that I notice all the time. Do you see where it says town hall? It is visible. The word is visible, whereas in the new one, it's not even visible. So in the old building, it was visible from far away, but it is not visible here. Since we are still on this project, I'm wondering if we could make that small change where maybe we could put it in white letters, or however we can do to make it visible.
The current paint scheme was based on the one approved at Transportation Committee, and thereafter by council. If we receive instruction from council to change that, we're happy to comply.
I think this can be changed at Transportation Committee. It's a minor change, and it's just making the letters Town Hall more visible.
I'd like to note that we're asking clarifying questions at this point, but we can have discussion after I take public comment.
Yes, that was my clarifying question, to see how we can go ahead and make that change.
Any other questions at this time?
Yeah, I have several more.
Please go ahead.
Slide 11, please. Okay, this is the Powell Street Sewer Project, and there was a decision that was made about not moving the sewer line, but going ahead and refurbishing or restructuring, however you want to put it. What was the data for that decision?
So as mentioned during the slide, the very initial cost range for rehabilitation, again, these are very preliminary analysis, was $1.5 to $2.5 million, and realignment was $8 to $10 million. And based on the funding we have available in the sewer fund, it is unlikely that realignment will be feasible.
Okay. I would like to go to slide 19, please. All right, this is a project that we had a meeting, or MIG did a open house on this at Watergate on September 6th. There was a lot of feedback on that. It would be good to have some kind of costs alongside the project. I'm wondering if that can be something that can be shared with the public.
It is available in the Transportation Committee presentations that we made. Initial costs were provided per segment along West Powell, and it is available online.
Okay, I appreciate that. Slides 21 and 22, I had questions on. Okay, on these lights, I do see them. There's great job on doing that. I think a lot of people in the community, especially around that area, have really appreciated it, especially women who are walking at night. I walk there, and I know that it's a great improvement. I just wanted to know if there was any capacity to go ahead and add more lights where there's a gap between lights all the way to the restaurant, the Hong Kong restaurant. And there's a place where the light stops. Is there a capacity and the budget to go ahead and add more lights?
The project was closed out and accepted by council as complete earlier in the year. So unfortunately, as part of this contract, the answer is no, but there could be opportunities as part of future projects.
Thank you. And so I'm staying on the slide only because was that project done out of the marina budget, or do you have a separate bucket for that budget? Because I'm trying to find out if there's the marina fund. What is the total in the marina fund, and where can you access that information?
I believe you can access that information in the 25-27 city budget document, and I'm looking to our finance director for confirmation for that. It's Fund 495 for everyone's information.
Okay, I appreciate that. I just want to make sure. So was the project done out of that fund, or was it a CIP, a separate project?
I will defer to the project manager with additional detail.
Thank you.
Yes, so this project was fully funded with Fund 495, and I think we showed in our initial CIPs 3.416, but I'll have to refer to the final council report when it was accepted as complete for the final number on that one. I don't have that one handy right
No, don't worry. I just want to make sure I want to know where it's coming from and if there's capacity to go ahead and do that, because I think it's great work. People have appreciated it. It's got good feedback. So thank you for letting me know that. So 22 may be the same slide, but I can go to that one. I guess it's the same question I had for 25.
Is that-
Okay, this is something that I'm looking forward to, as are many members of the community, and there's going to be a groundbreaking. I want to make sure there are going to be some other community engagement activities planned during the time of the, the planting process, so that the community feels vested in, here is the tree that I planted X many years ago, and look at these trees, they have grown up. I think it will call for community engagement. Is there something like that in the works?
Currently, as part of the construction, we expect to do a groundbreaking at the beginning of the construction and then a ribbon cutting at the end.
And nothing in between?
Not at this point.
Okay. I would ask that it be considered to get more community engagement around that. So how long will this project take for it to be completed, for the trees to be planted?
Depending on the weather, 3 to 4 months of planting.
Okay.
And then there could be some complications at other locations if we encounter underground utilities. It could extend as a result, but that's the initial estimate.
All right. I think those are all the questions that I have, unless there's slide 44 that I may not have asked, or maybe I have asked about that. So may I please go to that one? All right, this is the same thing that I was wondering if we could go ahead and engage the community more into getting them vested with the tree planting. That's all. Those are the questions I have. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Members, are there any additional questions? And I'd like to note the next meeting is scheduled to start in 2 minutes. Seeing none, I'll now open it up for public comment. If there's a member of the public, please come to the podium and you'll have 2 minutes. Welcome.
I think I represent the whole public tonight. So my name is Fran Coutella, and I'm speaking as a resident of Emeryville, and particularly of Watergate. And I want to address 4 projects. I want to address the West Powell Street study, the 40th Street multimodal project, those 2 in particular, and the sustainable streetscapes, Powell and Hollis. I would like to be able, and other members of the public would like to be able to give comment to Mohammed, and also if there is an opportunity for more study sessions. Some of these projects need to really be, need to have more public comment just factored in. I am unaware of a complete study session on West Powell Street, and that is important to me personally, but these other projects are also important to me. And as somebody who's concerned about this huge sewer lateral project we have at Watergate, I wonder whether the city's sewer lateral project and the decision is going to impact the work that we're doing within the complex. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Fran. We'll now move to member comment. Members, are there any additional discussion on these items? Member Pryforce.
Thank you, Mayor. So I know that the question of, that's being discussed is the adopt a sidewalk. And so maybe there could be some integration with maybe adopting a tree as we're talking that out. Just to see if there's possible inclusion of that concept. And and I'll do some research on that to see if other cities have done something similar. And also based on Vice Mayor Carr's questions, is there an opportunity when we do an update with the strategic plan for us to start sort of discussing like those like additional lights and those sort of things, or is the CIP kind of treated differently than the strategic plan? And that's questions for the city manager, of course. Sorry.
There is an opportunity, Councilmember Pryforce, for you to work that into the strategic plan. That's why in the presentation, the strategic plan item numbers are listed on each of the projects for you.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? I'd like to note that this is a informational item, and I'd like to thank Mohammed and staff for putting together the overview. It was very informative. And I'd also like to encourage, I certainly came up with a lot of questions, not so pressing in the back of my mind, and I'll be reaching out to staff to try to get some of those answered. And I would encourage other council members to kind of mull over what we've been presented and engage with staff to learn more. And I'd extend that to the public as well. The staff is very happy to provide additional information. So please reach out on any of these projects and we can get additional details provided. With that, we'll now move to item 7. This meeting is adjourned. The time is 7:17. The time is 7:17. This is a regular meeting of the City of Emeryville as successor agency to the Emeryville Redevelopment Agency. Madam Clerk, I'd like to note that all members are still seated, and we'll now move to approval of the final agenda. Members, is there a motion to approve the final agenda?
Motion to approve the final agenda.
Second.
Madam Clerk, the roll.
Councilmember Pryforce?
Aye.
Councilmember Solomon?
Aye.
Councilmember Welch?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Carr?
Aye.
And Mayor Mora.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Now is the time for ex parte communications. Members, do you have any ex parte communications to report? Seeing and hearing none, now is the time for public comment on the consent agenda or items not on the agenda. Do we have any members of the public who would like to comment on the consent agenda or items not on the agenda? Seeing none, we'll now move to the consent calendar. Members, do we have a motion on the consent calendar?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Madam Clerk, the roll.
Councilmember Pryforce?
Aye.
Councilmember Solomon? Councilmember Welch?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Carr?
Aye.
And Mayor Mora.
Aye.
Motion carries.
We have no action items. The time is 7:19. This meeting is adjourned. The time is 7:19. This is a regular meeting of the Emeryville City Council. Madam Clerk, the roll.
Councilmember Pryforce?
Here? Because usually you do the whole, I want to note that, okay, here, yeah, let's do it here, yeah.
Councilmember Solomon?
Here.
Councilmember Welch?
Here.
Vice Mayor Carr?
Present.
And Mayor Mora.
Present. Next, we have approval of the final agenda. Members, do we have a motion?
I'd like to
Oh,
pull something from the consent calendar before we go forward.
that's when we get to the consent.
Okay,
This is
when
the
you get-
approval for the
fine.
agenda.
We can do that at the consent.
Motion to approve the final agenda.
Second.
Madam Clerk, the roll.
Councilmember Pryforce?
Aye.
Councilmember Solomon?
Aye.
Councilmember Welch?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Carr?
Aye.
And Mayor Mora.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Next, we have special orders of the day. First, we have a proclamation of the City Council of the City of Emeryville designating October 2025 as Art and Culture Month in Emeryville and acknowledging October as Arts and Humanities Month nationally. And I will now read the proclamation. Whereas the City of Emeryville enacted a 1% for the arts program in 1990, resulting in over 600 pieces of artwork sponsored by the city and private developers required to comply with the program, now in its 35th year. And the City of Emeryville declared October 2010 as National Arts Month and the East Bay Cultural Corridor's 510 Arts Month in the City of Emeryville, and recognized the work of the California Arts Council, and the California Arts Council recognizes the Rotten City Cultural District, RCCD, of Emeryville as one of just 14 cultural districts in 2022 awarded funds for expanded programming in each of these districts. And the City of Emeryville awarded project management responsibilities to RCCD, to ABG Arts Group, And the City of Emeryville strongly supports National Arts and Humanities Month in October, the largest annual celebration of arts and humanities in the nation for 3 decades, and recognized by the White House, Congress, states, counties, cities throughout the United States. And the City of Emeryville and Emeryville Celebration of the Arts works in partnership with Alameda County Arts Commission to support the arts and humanities locally. And Emeryville's Celebration of the Arts exhibition, celebrating its 39th year, officially opens on Friday, October 3rd, 2025, and will take place October 4th through October 26th, 2025, at 5905 Shellmound Street, and features the works of artists and craftspeople, both established and emerging, who live or work in Emeryville. And RCCD is highlighting the events and activities of RCCD partners, including the City of Emeryville, Wareham Development, Emeryville Celebration Arts, Gallery 4509, 55th Street Artists Co-op, Jared's Pottery, Pixar, and Bay Street in partnership to lead efforts to advance the arts through programs, services, community building initiatives, and such the Emeryville Film Festival, artist residencies, mini grants to performing and visual artists, artist professional development, art installations, and an artist database. And the RCCD is sponsoring the inaugural Art and Cultural Month in Emeryville with weekly themed events that highlight existing partners and art activities while creating new opportunities and providing professional development for local artists, including, but limited to, Clay with Your Food at Jared's Pottery, an event mixing chefs, scientists, kilns, clever foods, and celebrity judges. Beyond the Lamplight art show at Gallery 4509, showcasing original works of artists employed by Pixar for the inaugural show at Gallery 4509, operated by Emeryville Celebration of the Arts. Tours of public art and open studios throughout the city, including facilities, campuses, and the Greenway, as well as a nighttime Get Lit tour of lit sculptures and nearby businesses offering evening entertainment. New visual art installations, including 2 murals, a marquee RCCD sculpture, and an unveiling of Packard Jennings birdhouses along the Greenway. New district streetlight banners by local artists crafted in their June RCCD residency. The arts and humanities enhance and enrich the lives of all Americans, and participation in the arts offers engaging, constructive, and safe environments for young people and children learning critical thinking skills and improving focus when provided a solid foundation in the arts. And public art projects are elements of civic pride and help define and formulate responses to social, economic, and cultural issues faced by citizens. And the arts have tremendous educational value, community value, and economic value. Now, therefore, it be resolved by the City Council of the City of Emeryville that October 2025 is hereby designated Art and Culture Month in Emeryville, and the City Council encourages our community members to participate and share in the arts and humanities in Emeryville, and to participate in Arts and Culture Month, and be it further resolved by the City Council of the City of Emeryville that October is hereby designated National Arts and Humanities Month, and the City Council encourages our community members to promote their arts and humanities throughout the region and the country, as proclaimed by the City Council of the City of Emeryville at a regular meeting held Tuesday, September 16th, 2025. And do we have a member to it? Somebody to accept? Wonderful. Would anybody like to address the council or make a brief statement? You can come to the podium.
Sharon Wilshire, Community Liaison for the 45th Street Artists Co-op, and also the project coordinator for Emeryville Celebration of the Arts. And I just have to say, 39 years, and look what happened. I mean, this is so exciting for me. I think you've mentioned everything about the art exhibition that opens on Friday, October the 3rd. The exhibition and the reception are all free. We also have Nancy Carpent Dancers will be presenting a dance performance on the 12th, which is a Sunday. Sarah Kobrinsky will be also hosting the ekphrastic poetry workshop, and it'll culminate with a poetry reading on the 26th. We are absolutely thrilled to be sort of the bookends for Arts and Culture Month. To be the kickoff event and also be the closing event, and just encourage people to come to the exhibition, but also enjoy all the other things that are going to be happening this month. It's really exciting. And so, thank you. Okay.
Thank you, Sharon. Welcome.
Thank you. Hi, my name's Sorrel Reynolds-Sway. I'm the director of ABG Art Group. I'm here on behalf of myself and my partners Trent Thompson and Erica Enriquez. We were tasked with building the Rotten City Cultural District and executing this vision, and I just want to say thank you for this tremendous opportunity. Thank you to the council, to the city, to Amber and Chad and Rebecca and all the city staff that have supported this vision. Hearing you read it all out loud and all the things that we've done over the last couple years, wow, that's a lot. And I'm really proud of the work that we've done. We couldn't have done it without our city partners and all the Emeryville partners, Wareham and Sharon and Celebration of the Arts and Pixar and everybody that's been involved. And so I just want to say thank you so much for this proclamation, for this tremendous honor. And it's been a wonderful experience, and we're just getting started. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Welcome.
Hi, good evening. Judy Wetter with Wareham Development. I just wanted to say that Amber and the staff have been fabulous putting this whole thing together, and the ABG team has been wonderful. When you look around town and you see all the effort that they made that pops out all over the city, it's just a great celebration, and Wareham's delighted to be part of it. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other comments? Maybe before I provide the proclamation, I'll ask any members of the council if they'd like to comment on the proclamation or the art community.
Thank you for all you do to make our city very beautiful. Appreciate it, and grateful for your work and grateful for your leadership in the art world. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. So I do have a proclamation. Would somebody like to receive it?
David.
From staff that you'll be receiving a significant schedule very shortly.
Thank you, Amber. And thank you, staff, for coordinating these activities. And again, thank you to the artist community for everything you do to beautify the city. We notice it and we appreciate it. Thank you. Next, we have a presentation, the Emeryville Children and Nature. And I believe there's a slide deck. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having us. I'm just going to give a brief little intro here before I turn it over. Most of you are familiar with us and our work, but briefly, we started out as Emeryville Children in Nature, founded by Patty Weber here, and we have been working to increase equitable access to nature for all of the kids and people living in Emeryville. And this last year, we have been working as a Nature Everywhere community. Emeryville was applied for and awarded to be a Nature Everywhere community. And as a part of that, we chose to focus on early childhood, specifically increasing access to nature for early childhood. And we've had the support of what's called technical assistance support for a year from the Nature Everywhere and League of Cities. And we have our leads here with us today who are coming to visit and help support us. We've had some great meetings today with Public Works and with the school, and we're feeling the love. And what we're gonna do tonight is just kind of remind all of us about why we're doing this work and why it's so important to connect children to nature.
And before we turn it over, we just want to remind you about our ribbon cutting tomorrow from 2:30 to 5 at Stanford Park for the nature exploration area that we are piloting in collaboration with the city, which we really appreciate their support on.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jen Salinas. I work with the Children and Nature Network, and I have been the lead technical assistant supporting the efforts that Patty and Susan have been leading here.
Hi, I'm Vera Feeney. I'm a program manager at the National League of Cities and co-lead with Jen.
If we can go to the next slide, please. Next slide. So we wanted to set up a little bit about what the Nature Everywhere Communities Initiative is, to just kind of ground you in the work that Patty and Susan have been leading here with the rest of the Emeryville Children in Nature team. This is a national movement that we have throughout the country. We have about 100 communities involved with the goal of bringing more equitable access to nature everywhere children live, learn, and play. Go to the next slide. The Nature Everywhere Community Initiative is a partnership between 3 organizations. So the Children and Nature Network, the National League of Cities, and Kaboom are all involved in supporting communities throughout the country to increase nature and to bring this effort to their cities. Next slide, sorry. So we really wanted to highlight what early childhood nature connections is tonight, because that is the focus area that the Emeryville Children in Nature team has chosen to focus on. So we're going to go over that a little bit and share what the benefits are around nature. So what we like to say is that nature makes kids happier, healthier, smarter, and better stewards of the environment. And we have the research to back this up and to prove it. It's really important to us that when we're going out there and we're talking about nature and what it can bring and what it can do for children and for their families and for the community overall, we want to make sure that that's grounded in research. And so everything that we say does have plenty of research to back it up. The Children in Nature Network website has the largest research library that documents the research behind the connections here. And so that is a QR code that will get you to the website to learn a little bit more about that. If we can go to the next slide, though, I will share some of those highlights. So nature makes kids healthier. We know that greenness near homes, near schools, and in the community can support healthier birth outcomes. It increases physical activity. It gives healthier weight to children. We see more robust immune function and reduced nearsightedness. It's really essential and critical for healthy development in children. One of the things that we like to emphasize is that a lot of people can see nature as being a nice to have. It's an extra, but it's really important for us to communicate that it's not just an extra, right? We, as humans, grew up in nature, and it's such a critical component of our development. And for us to have healthy development, we want to make sure that we are connected to nature. Next slide, please. So we also say nature makes kids happier. And again, there's lots of research that shows this. And we're saying kids because that's kind of our emphasis, but it's the whole community, right? We want to bring this nature to the community. And we're starting with this focus on children, but we know that then that expands out to their families and to the rest of the community. But we see that it enhances children's mental health, their emotional well-being, it reduces stress. Next slide. And we like to say that nature makes kids smarter. There is a lot of evidence that shows that being around nature, having access to green spaces, even looking outside a window and being able to have green views helps enhance attention. It helps children with self-regulation. It decreases their stress, right? It creates the environment that really supports optimal learning for children. And next slide. And another piece that we really like to lift up and emphasize with this work is that when children develop these close relationships with nature from a very early age, they grow to have pro-environmental behaviors, right? They grow up into adults that are going to care about their environment, they love their environment, and they want to take care of it. And that's a really important part of this work too, as we look to the future of our communities and how we can continue to support that. Next slide. So the Early Childhood Nature Connections Toolkit, we describe it as 4 interconnected components that the local team has really been working to support and make sure that we're hitting all of these 4 areas of infrastructure, workforce capacity and professional development, programming and family engagement, and then amplifying and sustaining the work through policy and through funding. So things like the COBOR come into place when we're thinking about, Children's Outdoor Bill of Rights is what COBOR is, when we're thinking about the policy component of that. Next slide. So just want to very quickly go over this because I know we don't have too much time, but when we're thinking about infrastructure, we're just thinking about how can we expand access to nature play spaces. So adding nature to outdoor spaces and early childhood programs, or in other public spaces like parks, or community centers where young children are and where their families are as well. Next slide. Then we really want to make sure that we're activating those spaces through programming and family engagement, and celebrating families' cultures and traditions is a really important part of this, right? We want to make sure that the nature that we're offering is reflective of the community and their needs and their desires and how they want to connect to nature. Next slide. We want to make sure that those using these spaces, like teachers and early childhood providers, feel comfortable in those spaces. So how can we provide professional development and strengthen the ECE pipeline so that teachers and early childhood educators are trained with nature-based practices in mind? And the next slide, policy and funding, making sure that as a community, we're really advocating for public investment in nature access and inclusion. We're thinking about how can we have funding to support facility and environments. How are we building in programmatic and professional development funding as well? Really thinking about if we want this to succeed, we need to be creative. We need to think about how are we blending this into the fabric of our community, and how are we weaving it into the policies, into everything that we want to have for this community so that it lives long-term and that Emeryville really becomes synonymous with a nature community, and that when people think about Emeryville, they think about all that it has around nature to provide to youth and families. And next slide, I think we're going to share a couple of community examples.
So we have a few slides. One community is San Francisco, so nearby. I think next slide, please. So they have a focus on, sorry, I got a little nervous, environmental justice, and they thought of how, sorry, I got nervous.
That's it.
Okay.
Do you want me to do it?
Oh.
So they've focused on how environmental justice communities, so the 30% of communities that have in their sites, and they have a focus areas on nature exploration areas in their parks and public spaces and early childhood sites. So they have over 30 community partners that they've worked with, including city agencies. And you can see some of their accomplishments are they've developed nature exploration areas in public sites, including 8 standalone nature exploration areas and 3 with traditional playground equipment and also have developed some in nature exploration areas in 21 preschools or family child care centers. And the next slide. These are just some examples of some of their citywide initiatives. So they focused on a number of the pathways, including nature-based programming, and really thinking of how to align with citywide programs and the connections that the communities already have. So like YMCA and with citywide events. And also they focus on outdoor learning environments and professional development. I'll show some examples of this next slide. But you can see that they've worked to, this is a before and after of an early childhood center. So they've worked to add nature to these centers, and it's all been invitation-based and not mandatory. But they've worked, as I mentioned, with family child care homes and early childhood centers, partnering with the Low Income Investment Fund, a community development financial institution, as well as other partners. But aligning with some of the logs are actually repurposed. So thinking of alignment with green infrastructure and repurposing the logs from the Presidio. And they've also include loose parts for learning, shade that's important for children and being able to enjoy the outdoors, and also improving air quality. And they've also had a year-long professional development program, which they've worked with the educators and directors. So it's not required, but it's not mandatory to be part of the program, but when they invite the directors, they find it's been helpful for the sustainability of the initiatives. And they also have, I think it was on the last slide, but they've, as I mentioned, they've worked in public parks too, so they have a network of nature exploration areas as well. And one other point we want to make is that all of these connect to sustainability and resilience initiatives, so I know that's on the next slide. It's an important part of these, of the city too, so one of the priorities. So thinking of all the ways that tree canopy, stormwater management, pollinator and wildlife habitats, and nutrition access are priorities and can fit into the infrastructure and programming components and help not only sustainability and resilience, but it'd be important for opportunities for children's learning. So thinking of wildlife habitats, so opportunities for sensory experiences and learning, especially if these are on early childhood centers, nutrition access, so thinking how this can connect to community food security, as well as nutrition opportunities and learning about farm to school and farm to ECE, and also providing intergenerational programming. And for stormwater management, on the next slide, I'll talk about how, especially with nature exploration areas, there's opportunities to align with watershed restoration. So there are ways like when parks are with park developments, there may not be opportunities for permanent structures because there could be flooding or other stormwater issues, but there could be opportunities to develop nature exploration areas and use these parks, these sites for when there's not flooding, so that most of the time. So there might be opportunities and more funding opportunities, especially when you're working with the flood district. And one example is Denver, and they have a nature play guideline that's very helpful to see some case studies of how they've worked with parks when developing nature exploration areas. And they also developed the guidelines jointly with their Mile High flood district.
So just to wrap up, I mean, we tried to squeeze a lot into a quick presentation, but hopefully by doing that, we hope that we were able to illustrate the many ways in which nature is important. We see how it supports mental health. We know that it can support climate resilience and sustainability for a community. It supports child development for optimal development. whoa, some crazy's happening up there. Right? And so we want to make sure that this is really interwoven within your community. I'm sure that all of us can get behind the idea of children and nature and how that can benefit our communities and our families. And that work really takes creative partnerships, right? How are we building cross-sector teams? How are we making connections between the city and nonprofits and cultural organizations, and really thinking about creative partnerships and solutions to these problems? We have lots of communities out in the country that have been able to do this, and we have lots of examples to share with you if you're interested in learning more. But just want to emphasize the value of bringing nature to your community and that there's ways to do so. And our team over here has been getting the work started, and it's up to us to continue that work going. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I don't know if there's time for any questions or...
Yes, thank you all. And I'll ask the members of the council if you have any questions or comments on the presentation. Feel free to raise your hand.
I didn't have anything to say. No, I was muting.
Literally ended the presentation.
Member Solomon.
Can you just say one more time, the event tomorrow, what are the details? What should the public expect to see?
The event
and
is
experience?
the event is to celebrate, it's the ribbon cutting for the Stanford Park Nature Exploration Area. So you heard them talk about it, NEAs, the Nature Exploration Area. So it's a pilot that we have done that has been in the works for a long time through Parks and Rec. And tomorrow we're gonna celebrate it. We have music and food and supporters and all kinds of fun things from 2:30 to 5-ish. And also a big thanks to Vice Mayor Carr. She has been a huge supporter for us. She came to the Nature Everywhere National Conference. She came with me to the conference to support us there. She's been a huge advocate and support here as we got back to really move forward with the work. Tomorrow Nikki Fortunata Bass is coming by with the help, again, for Vice Mayor Card, connecting us with her. And it's gonna be a good event. And it's gonna be the kickoff for much more to come.
Thank you, Susan. Any other questions or comments from council?
I can make a comment. First of all, thank you, Susan, for introducing me to this phenomenal group of people that you're working with, Vera, Jen, Patty. I already knew about your work, but I did not know the scale of it, and I'm so proud of what you have made it. You have partnered with national organizations, including Children in Nature. I did not realize that there was such a huge conference that I attended in Minnesota. Thank you so much for allowing me or inviting me to attend that. I really appreciate it. I learned a lot. It appealed to my inner child to go and attend all these programming that they had put on that were outside in the parks. I made sure every program that I pick is out in one of the parks. So I would pick those, and I would have all these flies and these ants crawling over me. It was just part of the experience, but it was fun to do something outside. I know they had a lot of indoors ones also, but they were putting me to sleep, so I went right outside. So, but not that they didn't have anything meaningful to say, they did, but it's always more fun to have the learning outside, whether you are a child or an adult. So, I mean, it's just great, and your work is amazing. I know you are taking this whole week. Jen and Vera, you've taken the time to come and meet with the people here in the city, and you are building those relationships in order to continue this phenomenal work in our city. Very, very grateful to you all, and I hope you continue this way beyond this council, way beyond me, way beyond my time. I would love to come to your kickoff tomorrow, as well as all the amazing events that you have planned through this organization. Thank you for bringing this to our city.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Are there any other comments or questions? Member Pryforce.
Hey, y'all. So there are CEOs who have had a major impact on me. I mean, Jim Clifton, John Esposito, Cheryl Dorsey, and Daryl Hammond of Kaboom. Daryl is one of the most remarkable people. I could say white dudes, but no, just people. Like, he is just an amazing individual. I even declined an acquisition of my company in its earliest stages after having a conversation with him. And it's because of his love of children, and especially in terms of creating sort of this idea of the inclusive playground. And he helped me to really just how to pitch that, how to focus on that. And so to see Kaboom's name in terms of being a part of this programming, both locally and nationally, is really amazing. And just as amazing is, I want to thank Vice Mayor Carr for supporting this movement that Patty and Susan, that y'all just have been just really leading. And I remember in its earliest years, and I mean, what you all have done is, I think, this activism that I'd like to see more of in Emeryville, that you can have this idea concept based on real community love, based on, hey, I really want to see this happening. And it might not, in the beginning, get as much support from the city, but then you keep going, and then it becomes this. And so, I'm just really impressed, and I love what you all are doing, and as much as we can support, I'm definitely there. So thank you for your heroicism.
Any other comments or questions? I'd like to just thank you one more time. I have two boys, 5 and 7, and I can't tell you how awful it is going to sterile plastic playgrounds that have come into vogue over recent years. And I hope the tide is changing and people see the value in exposing kids to nature and natural play environments. I'm very excited to see I'm going to try to come for part of the unveiling tomorrow, and I'm really excited for that, and even more so to bring my kids there, hopefully shortly afterwards. So thanks again for the work you're doing. Next, we have announcement of commission and committee vacancies.
Thank you, Mayor. Just wanted to remind everyone that there's a current recruitment open for unscheduled vacancies. The application's available on the website, and the application closes on September 29th. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have council member special announcements or reports on meeting attendance.
I can do one.
Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. So I have the report on the meeting at Watergate on Saturday, September 6th. The purpose of the meeting was for MIG, which is one of our design vendors. Is that what they are? Mohammed, you were there, so you can let me know what, are they the design vendor? What capacity were they engaging in?
They are an urban design and planning firm.
Okay, so I just want to make that clear for the public. They are a very nice group of people. The purpose of the meeting was to engage with Watergate residents to determine the viability of the Powell Street redesign. However, it was noticed as a public meeting, and because of a last-minute cancellation notice, it created a lot of confusion. Many residents who had planned to show up didn't show up, and people have asked for another meeting during a weekday for those of the residents that couldn't attend because of a religious holiday or other reasons. and that meeting should include not only just Watergate residents, but other stakeholders along Powell Street. So that was one of the meetings, and if it's to be noticed as a public meeting, perhaps it can be held at a public venue. That was my first report of the meeting, and the second meeting I had was with former Mayor Jack Asher on August 21 regarding a page on our website, which is one of the council priorities to make a very informed or informative website for our residents and businesses. The purpose of the meeting was regarding putting a page on the website for businesses and residents regarding their rights around the issue of immigration, which many of our Bay Area and state leaders have taken up. It is my understanding that staff is working to update the website based on the feedback that we received from the community, and I look forward to those updates.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Any other announcements or reports on meetings? Member Pryforce.
There's some synergy here. So colleagues, I know some would prefer I not bring this up, but recently I met with a progressive group of activists who asked for my take as an elected official on Charlie Kirk. I chose instead to speak as an educator because I was an educator in the tech world, and my work in philanthropy has always been youth-centered. I know, as many of you do, that even when events happen far beyond our city limits, they touch Emeryville. Our babies are watching. I now have 2 in my care, and whether it's young people enrolled at Emory Unified, playing in our parks, or enjoying the comfort of their homes, they are being raised in a world that feels less safe when they see not only the assassination of Charlie Kirk, but also the words and hate on which he built his fame and fortune. As Ta-Nehisi Coates wrote today in Vanity Fair in his piece, Charlie Kirk Redeemed, A Political Class Finds Its Lost Cause, there is a rush to sanitize Kirk's legacy, praising his civility while ignoring his actual record of vilifying civil rights leaders, queer people, trans people, Muslims, immigrants, Black people, Haitians, and Jews. I urge my colleagues and the public to read Coates' article in full. Jesse Gender, one of my favorite cultural critics who happens to be trans, reminds us that political violence is not only the bullet, it's also the policies, laws, and rhetoric that strip people of dignity in ways deemed as respectable or practicing politics the right way. And let me add, political violence is also paying for the bombs that rain down on Gaza and genocide. It is in the silence that allows us to look away from what the world most wants us to see. Whether it's the destruction of Gaza or the recent hanging of Trey Reed in Mississippi. As Coates warns, ignoring Kirk's words while celebrating his image is not neutrality, it is complicity. Burying the truth of a man's records allows hate to be repackaged as civility, and that very act endangers democracy itself. I'll close my remarks with this. Some have sought to downplay Kirk's killing by insisting it was not an assassination. I wholeheartedly disagree with that lack of empathy. Given the history of our country, he was a political actor targeted on a public stage. We can condemn that act of violence without erasing the truth of who he was. As Bishop Talbot Swan said, a white man murdered a white man at one of the whitest colleges in America in one of the whitest states in the nation, but y'all mad at Black people? And I would add, at trans people, at Muslims, at immigrants too. We have always been made scapegoats when power structures need an other to blame. Here in Emeryville, our values demand better. That is why the city will be adding a Know Your Rights section to our website, because safety, dignity, and freedom are not privileges. They are protections owed to all who call the city home. And as we prepare to celebrate Pride in Emeryville this weekend, we affirm that these protections belong to every member of our community without exception. Finally, I offer my prayers to Charlie Kirk's family, who must now live with this tragedy. Life is sacred, but so is freedom, justice, and truth. Our babies are watching.
Are there any other member special announcements or reports on meeting attendance? Seeing none, we next have the city manager's report.
Thank you, Madam Amina. Mr. Mayor, I just would like to report out for the community that Echo Housing will be hosting an Emeryville Tenants' Right workshop for tenants, property owners, and managers on this Friday, September 19th at 5:30 p.m. At the City of Emeryville's council chambers. There will also be an opportunity to participate via Zoom, and this information is currently on our website. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have ex parte communications. Members, do you have any ex parte communications to report? Seeing and hearing none, now is the time for public comment on the consent agenda or items not on the agenda. Seeing no members of the public to speak on that, we will now move to the consent calendar. And Vice Mayor, you mentioned earlier there was an item you wanted to pull for discussion.
Thank you for that, Mayor. Yes, 10.5, it is the local hazard mitigation plan. That is what I'd like to either pull for further discussion or get some clarifications on.
So I'd like to ask for a motion to approve items 10.1 through 10.4 and 10.6 and 10.7, and we will discuss 10.5
Motion to approve
separately.
the items. Sorry, Mr. Mayor. Motion to approve the items.
Second.
Madam Clerk, the roll.
Councilmember Pryforce?
Aye.
Councilmember Solomon?
Aye.
Councilmember Welch?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Carr?
Aye.
And Mayor Mora?
Aye.
Motion carries.
We'll now discuss item 10.5, the resolution of the City Council of the City of Emeryville adopting the 2025 to 2030 Local Hazard Mitigation Plan to replace the existing LHMP appendix. Do you have a specific question, Vice Mayor, or that you'd like to?
I have a comment actually, and that might lead to some questions or discussion. The comment is this, that I had asked back when I was on the Transportation Committee, and this had come in front of, I think, many committees. This plan had come in front of many committees. I had asked that the hazard mitigation plan include the maps indicating Emeryville is not in the severe fire zone, and as well as the CAL fire language in the hazard mitigation plan, so that this information can be used to help the pooled insurance of the HOAs where possible. Because I work for an insurance company, I know that they use a city's hazard mitigation plan to factor their premiums on. So, and I understand the item was returned to City Council of FEMA for approval, but that doesn't mean that we cannot add the language now after FEMA reviewed it. FEMA just reviewed the plan, but it didn't say this is exactly what we want. They sent it back to council to include or strike anything that the city doesn't believe is necessary. But since this plan is going to be valid for 5 years, I would just like to have this plan include in it the map and the language from CAL FIRE indicating Emeryville's status in the fire zone, so that this information can be used by the HOAs in our city to get discounts that they could possibly get on their pooled insurance.
So it sounds like the question here is for staff, given the fact that the city is not in a fire zone, is there a reason why? Is there somebody from staff who could speak to that not being discussed in the local hazard mitigation plan?
Good evening, Mayor. We have Lori Elephant here that can talk to the local hazard mitigation plan. She did a lot of the legwork with staff, and so she can probably answer your question, and I'll jump in where needed.
Welcome, Lori.
So it does say in the plan that Emeryville is not subject to wildfires, but to address your concern, we have added the fire maps to our website. So if somebody goes onto the website and goes into fire services, there's a link to those maps.
Thank you so much for doing that. I had heard that from our city manager, but what I'm trying to say is that's not enough. for insurance companies to look at the website. It is something that what they look at is really the hazard mitigation plans.
So for us to update the hazard mitigation plan, we would have to go back to FEMA when we make the changes for their review and approval.
Sorry to interrupt. I just want to take all the questions first, then we'll open for public comment and then the discussion. Do we have any other questions on this item? Member Welch.
I'm sorry. Hi, Lori.
Hi.
So just to clarify, essentially what it says on the fire map is that we are not subject to wildfires. That's what the map says. And then it says that in the plan. So it's still noted. And then so when insurance companies are doing their assessment, that information that we are not subject to wildfires, that information is available to them? Is that?
Yeah, it says in the plan based on Emeryville's topography that it is not subject to wildfires.
So they have access to that information?
So they would have access to that, and we can move to include those in the next update. They actually have the maps in the plan. But to add the plan and to start changing it, we would have to go back to FEMA.
And would that be, what kind of impact would that have on like the approval, or would that have some type of
Well, you have
adverse
1 year
impact?
to adopt the plan. So it just depends on how fast FEMA moves. I mean, we would have to redo the plan, redo the their review sheet that they use, because in the review sheet, you point to the exact pages that everything is on. So if you start moving things around, then you'd have to go back to FEMA with the whole plan. And I'm not sure if we'd have to go back to Cal OES first, because that's how it normally works, is you go to Cal OES, they approve it and forward it to FEMA for final approval. So last time it took, we sent it to Cal OES in like November. They sent it back in December. We had to make some changes, which we made. They approved it in February and sent it to FEMA, and FEMA did not return it till April.
Okay.
So.
Vice Mayor, another question?
Yes, so 5 months versus a 5-year plan, and then redoing it after 5 years, I think makes a lot of difference for the residents in this town. We are HOA heavy a city which is HOA heavy. So that's something that the question, I'm glad that Councilmember Welch has raised that. It was the exact question that I was going to raise. My understanding actually was different, but thanks for clarifying that. So FEMA, this is the question I have, is so FEMA send it back to council to approve and adopt, but
it's really to adopt, because we came to council in September 2024.
Correct.
Council approved it at that point, didn't have any changes or comments.
I had brought that up in the transportation committee. I had raised this exact part, and I had also raised it in January of this year with staff to add it. So I think at this point, because we are an HOA heavy community, it should be considered. But I'm going to defer to my colleagues for other questions and how they wish to proceed.
Member Pryforce.
So from my understanding, I'm not in the HOA community, but I do represent a large share of our renter community, and some of our multifamily units do have pools. So it sounds like it might be a matter of communication on how the insurance companies are drawing in their information. Is there some sort of supplement or letter or communication that can be added to the plan, specifically sort of providing directions to HOA communities and also to sort of renter communities, the landlords over renter communities, that kind of lets them know, hey, here's some updates, and these updates may be impacting you, or they may be, and then they can use that when they're sort of negotiating insurance rates.
If I could jump in real quick. looking at the CAL FIRE maps and what they reference within their maps, it says that CAL FIRE hazard maps do not affect insurance rates or availability. So they should not be impacting, and they're referenced inside of the CAL FIRE maps and their website.
Thank you, Pedro. Any other questions? Member Pryforce.
So I think I'm then interested in maybe how do insurance companies make those sort of determinations? So maybe that's just a matter of us talking to insurance companies and seeing like how do they, yeah, because maybe it's the buck is really on them and then figuring out and then we adjust from there. So, yeah.
Vice Mayor.
So Pedro, you were saying the maps are what do not affect that. That's why I'm asking for the language to be included, not just the maps. That is going to be.
You're just asking for a sentence that just says that the CAL FIRE maps do not show that Emeryville's in a, like just that one sentence?
No, there was a particular language that I had sent that was just that was sent in January by the staff to me, and I had said included in the mitigation plan, in the hazard mitigation plan, that particular paragraph, and I think that you'd have to follow up with staff, and that was the language that came from CAL FIRE, that it was language more than just the maps, and if I can find it, I can let you know what it was.
Member Welch.
Lori, again, it says in the plan that we are not in a wildfire risk.
Right.
So it's gonna say some iteration of that, whether it's from CAL FIRE specifically or us. We can't just make that up. We're not lying. So we can't, that would be fraud if we said that we are not at risk of wildfires, and we are. So this is a plan based in truth. So it states that, and whatever iteration, it would still equal Emeryville is not at risk at risk of being a part of a wildfire event, correct? So it's there. So
It does say that.
It says that.
We are not, you know, based on the topography, that we are not at wildfire risk, that we're more at risk for urban fires because of our density.
We also added a note in there that, in reference to what was suggested, that Emeryville zones has not been designated as moderate, high, or very high on fire hazard severity maps. So it's in there as a note to clarify that under the fire services maps that we link to in there. So that information's in there.
So that's fine. I mean, at this point, if that's the language, but if you can add the language that I'd asked for, that had just come directly from CAL FIRE, that, I mean, after 5 years, that to me doesn't make sense, but again, it's something that I can defer to, but I would probably not vote for this item as an aye, only because I think that language is important.
I'd like to actually, if we have other questions before public comment, Member Solomon. Okay, I'd like Member Pryforce, go ahead. Okay, I'll now open public comment, seeing no members of, oh, please.
Hi, this is Doug Jones, political organizer, SCIU United Healthcare Workers. Like to point out one concern that we have about the report, which is that the staff correctly identifies that a major natural hazard for Emeryville is earthquakes. It contemplates an earthquake in the nearby faults that run as close as 3 miles to Emeryville that might be as strong as a 7.2 earthquake. Just want to be really clear, a 7.2 earthquake is enormous. It's going to cause buildings to collapse. People are going to be injured. People are going to be severely injured. And they're going to be coming into the hospital that you're getting ready to approve building from Sutter. A hospital that Sutter is asking you to build, which is too small. So it's really important to consider that The process for moving, this review took place in 2023 and 2024 and ended relatively early in 2025. It's not staff's fault that it's all of a sudden Sutter arrived and said, we've got this massive hospital project. I would ask whether it be included in this particular review or in your decision-making process as you contemplate what's coming up over the next year or two as you consider this project, to consider whether you're going to be mitigating risk in the decisions that you're going to be making regarding the size of this hospital and the capacity of safety net services that we're going to need when the earthquake takes place, not if. Thanks.
Thank you for your comment. I'll now bring it back for council discussion. Member Pryforce.
To get you to vote on this, would it be a matter of us having a substitute motion wherein the language that you have shared with us and that you've worked on, that be added in a way that would be sort of explicit to those who are most vested in some of the concerns that you have raised?
Yeah, the concern that I had raised was about the language that was actually given by CAL FIRE, but not clearly in the hazard mitigation plan. So I had asked for that as early as January in order for, I think, Lori, you have stated that we can include it in the next iteration of that, but that's after 5 years. And to me, it may be too late for some of the people who are already affected. So I'm thinking 5 months versus 5 years just to close that is much better than waiting. I think that just what we have currently, I just want to make sure that people don't get rejected just for what we have currently, because I want the language of CAL FIRE in there, and I think that some other community members who have discussed this would have expressed that as well. In fact, when this topic was closed, I thought, okay, it was closed in January. Someone I saw at ECC mentioned that this is a concern even in their HOAs. So that's the reason why I think that it is something that should be added. What we have may not be enough. And if it can be added after 5 years and should be reconsidered, why not now when we can do it? That's my concern.
Mr. Mayor.
Member Welch, go ahead.
Madam Vice Mayor, with all due and absolute respect, I want to reiterate that the insurance commissioner for the state said we cannot use the maps, that the maps are not the thing. We have the information as far as what has been determined as far as our wildfire risk in the plan. What is the specific language from CAL FIRE going to say differently than we have already said? It says that we are not at wildfire risk. That's not going to impact the insurance rates, and I absolutely 100% understand that the insurance rates are a concern. They're a strain on many of our residents. No one's arguing against that, but this isn't going to change that. We're looking, and I know you want to achieve this and help the rates, especially the rate increases that many people, not just in Emeryville, across the state of California are experiencing. But this specific language is not going, we have the notation that states what our risk is. So how is this going to make a difference if we use our own language versus CAL FIRE's language if it's all saying the same thing? It's saying the same thing, that we are not at risk for wildfires. How is it going to make a difference?
Thank you, council member, for raising that. That's exactly my point to Lori's thing, is the offer to add it after 5 years is why not now? I mean, if it's going to make a difference then, why is it not going to make a difference now? So that's what I'm trying to get to.
Mr. Mayor, can I just,
Yes, Vice.
to note,
Go ahead.
Lori said we could add it after 5 years, because if we make the edits now, it's gonna have to go back to FEMA, then we're pushing back the timeline. That is why she made the offer. She didn't say it was going to make a difference. She just said we could add it later because we are set on this timeline. We're on a timeline, and if we go back to make edits, it's throwing off the timeline.
Vice Mayor, if I could, Lori, could you clarify when you offered the alternative of adding additional language now, elaborating on the no fire risk, whether that's added now or in 5 years, will it make a difference in 5 years?
Well, will it make a difference? I don't know if it will make a difference for insurance or not. We include a lot of things in our plan that don't always, that aren't required by FEMA to be in there. So what I was trying to say is that we could, if the language wanted to be included, we could include it. It doesn't mean it's going to have any impact.
Thank you. Vice Mayor?
Thank you, Mayor. The question I have then is, because you include all of these things, what is the timeline? Councilmember Welch brings up this timeline. Why are we struggling with this timeline? Why are we?
Because if you don't adopt it within the year, you have to start all over again with the planning of the plan. You have to go back and do everything all over. You can't just submit a new plan and say we're done.
Is there a way around it? Is there a workaround? Because I had asked for it in September.
I could check with FEMA and see what that would entail.
Yeah, if it's just a simple amendment, I think we should be fine, and we should not have to do it all over and reinvent the wheel. I actually
No, not for the amendment. If we just change it, it's only if we don't adopt it by April.
By April of next year.
April of 26. If you don't adopt it by April of 26, then you have to start the whole process over with the surveys and the planning team and doing it.
So why don't we just come back and you know, have that option and then figure out what the language is. Right? I think we still have time before April to go ahead and make that decision in a very educated manner, versus thinking, oh, we are struggling against timeline. The decision has to be made today and now, where we don't really have all that information. If we could get the information, we could potentially bring this item back. And I think I would be very supportive of that, bringing it back to explore exactly what the timelines are, what is required of us, whether a simple amendment would just do it and we can just approve it, and can we just put that language for the satisfaction of many of the community members who want that language in there.
Member Solomon?
Thank you. Vice Mayor, both not on an HOA and not an insurance expert. So can you, and you don't have to like read off the specific paragraph, but like what, and I think this is what Councilmember Welch was getting at, but what specifically would, if we were to adopt an amendment and change the plan, what information would you want to be included that is not reflected in a sentence that says Emeryville is not at risk of wildfires?
I don't think that's exactly what it says from what I read, but I think it's, if you can read it or bring it up on the screen, we can just. All look at it together.
I'll read it out unless, you know, want to pull up the city webpage, but.
Please just read it.
Reading it is fine.
The part where it says note, it says Emeryville zones has not been designated as moderate, high, or very high on the fire hazard severity maps. So
That's not in our plan, though.
that's not in our plan.
No, what's in the plan?
What I'm, yeah.
Yeah, what's
We're
in the
referencing
plan?
it on the website. Again, we don't know the timeline. If we make this amendment change, we have to go back to FEMA and ask them the question. If they're gonna.
No, sorry, we just want to, Pedro, we just want to know what is written in the plan itself with the language that describes no wildfire risk.
Oh, inside of the.
Yeah, not the website, the actual plan that's been reviewed by FEMA and approved. And if anybody else has it open, feel free to
I have
chime
it
in.
now.
I think my network is down, otherwise I was trying to open it, so.
I have it for you. The city of Emeryville does not have a terrain or vegetation conditions for large or devastating wildfires. However, urban fires, residential, commercial, structure fires, or industrial fires are a constant threat. Is that enough, or do you need me to read more?
So it makes the distinction between wildfires and urban fires.
Correct.
Because that's truthful.
Okay, thank you, Pedro. Other comments? Member Solomon.
Yes, if I may, is that, with that in mind, thank you, Pedro, for that, what information would you suggest be included? Again, doesn't have to be exact language, but what's not included in what Pedro just read that's in the plan that we would want to take 5 months to?
I don't know if it's necessarily 5 months.
Or
We're
that-
just
sorry, that you
speculating
would
that it's
wanna-
5 months. It could be just one day, and they would probably say, yeah, if council wants to improve it with that, then it is.
Sure, I
It's
think-
just an
I think
additional
knowing
language.
the state of FEMA, I guess I'm slightly concerned that we both spend the staff time and we send off an email. Who knows if that person is still employed by the federal government? I want to make sure that we get it right, but also, I guess I'm still not clear on what language we would want to be including that.
Would you
I
want
would-
not
that
currently reflected.
sentence that Pedro just read, that about the not being, just that one sentence?
I think that it's not just one sentence, Lori. I think it's just like this whole paragraph in quotation that was provided to you, Latanya, from CAL FIRE when I had raised this issue back in December, January. That was one of the things that I had raised, and you had provided to me, and then we exchanged emails about it being included in the hazard. So if you have access to that email, maybe you can read it, because I'm not able to access it right now.
I
So
will
to answer your question, Matthew, it is more than just that. I think that one sentence that's on the website, but the website actually captures what is in that quotation from the sentence on the website captures what is in that quotation, and it's a little bit more specific than what is in the hazard mitigation plan. So I mean, if we could just,
No, I'm talking about the sentence that Pedro read that's on the website, if we just inserted that one sentence in
if
about Emeryville's not zoned.
in the fire hazard zone, and these are the maps. Yes, if that
But
if that helps with condensing that language, or that's what references, I would be agreeable to that, because it's a little bit more than just that.
I mean,
And I don't think that amendment is such a huge deal.
I don't think that is such a big change.
I think the
I
count
think if you
from
started adding the actual maps and things like that and started rearranging things around, that might be a little bit different, but we could do that sentence and do a link to the maps.
if that is something that you can easily do, I would, you know what, I would be satisfied with that. I think many people would be satisfied with that. So if that is what we can do and have the links, I think that, and if it doesn't involve a lot of involvement of federal agencies that are going to, I think that's an easy fix and an easy solution that can capture a lot of concerns.
Because that's not a substantial change.
Well, just to be clear, are we talking about the website or the document?
I think on the document, adding the one sentence that Pedro read that's on the website that says Emeryville is not zoned in the high, medium.
I'd like to give Member Welch an opportunity.
I would just like to make a motion. I mean, we've been talking about this. I feel like we've reached an agreement at this point. You feel good about adding that, and it sounds like, Lori, we can do that and we can add the link. So I would like to make a motion to approve the hazard mitigation plan with the edit, just to add that paragraph and then add a link, that one sentence around the zoning that is actually on the website, and then add a link.
Hold on sorry to interrupt. Can we just get what clarity is, if there's any modification whatsoever to the document as is, does that trigger the FEMA process and entail the meetings and the cost?
So it's still that.
does.
So it's not that, it's the editing at all.
So it
Okay.
Any edits trigger that review, that possible multi-month process? And, okay, I'd
I
actually like to
rescind my
ask.
motion.
Okay, so there's no motion. Member Pryforce.
So I'm not a subject expertise when it comes to these things. but I am going to follow Vice Mayor Carr's lead on it in terms of how they choose to vote, because it sounds like Vice Mayor Carr did the right things in terms of making sure the staff knew, because this is back in December, January. In a couple of weeks, we'll be in October, and it highlights an issue as it relates to process. We just had a member of the community just talk about our, our soon-to-be built hospital pending, whatever, and I'm sure that there are some things around that process that is important. And what it sends a message to the Emeryville community is that if a council member, if a vice mayor can't go through the bureaucracy of trying to get something done, then what hope do we have? And so that's the concern that is being, it's on full display, is the breakdown in our process, because it sounds like they approached it early enough, and then we get to this point where we're just like, well, we got to do it now, or we have to, and then we did the timeline, which is it's a fairly sort of railroading experience that is typical of bureaucracies. One of my mentors, Dr. Edison O. Jackson, his PhD was on bureaucracies at HBCUs, and I read it in order to impress him. And so this is the nature of bureaucracies, and so where the pressure is on the person and not on the system itself. And so, however Vice Mayor Carr votes, I will vote in that direction.
I just have a clarifying question. One thing I'm struggling with is if the document currently states that there's no wildfire risk, it doesn't seem like any way of rephrasing that changes the underlying message, which is that there's no wildfire risk. So if whether you're an insurance company or any other reader, I'm struggling to understand the value of it. Now, if it was as simple as simply adding a variation on that, that might be fine, and it's certainly doable. But my concern also is with the process and the cost. I'd like to note Lori's not an employee of the city. We pay for her time, and can somebody on staff comment on the possible cost of restarting this process?
I mean, it depends how long it takes, really, without knowing that and how long it's going to take. I mean, submitting it and waiting for the answer is really what's going to take the time. So, there's going to be some costs for Lori to rewrite this and submitting, make some calls and see when we can get responses back and doing follow-ups. But to give you an actual number, I can't really give you at this time, but there will be some costs.
Okay, well, I'm just trying to establish that it's not free. But again, my question is, if there's no wildfire risk, it doesn't really matter how you phrase it. Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. With regard to that first question about cost, I think that the city owes it to the people to do this right, and the processes should have been done right as early as September of last year when it was raised in the transportation meeting. And then, Lori, it is not you that I am bringing this to. What I'm trying to say, it was raised at that time. It was raised a second time. And I think that these are concerns that if we are raising, and these are concerns that are not addressed or not passed on, then I think it is a concern of the whole city, the people that we represent. And again, yes, I am in agreement that the process should be followed. With regard to the language being as is, the concern that is this language enough? If this language were enough, why would our department go and add additional language and maps in the website to alleviate those concerns? And that's all I'm asking. This language isn't enough.
Can I ask the staff just to respond to that point? So if the document says there's no wildfire risk, what was the driving force behind adding the links and additional language that elaborates on why there's the maps and why there's no wildfire risk?
I'll take that question, Mayor. And the response would be, the Vice Mayor brought it to me and requested, because we didn't get this data until February 2025, indicating that the city of Emeryville was not in any fire hazard severity zones. The hazard mitigation plan came out. She requested that it be included. We were explaining the purpose of the hazard mitigation plan is just that. What are the hazards within the city of Emeryville, and how will we mitigate those hazards? And it's very important that we have a plan in place, because during significant hazards, the city tends to rely on FEMA reimbursement because we tend to overrun costs when we are addressing emergencies within the city. Because there is no fire hazard, because we're not in a fire hazard zone, there was nothing to mitigate to be included in this plan. So the statement from the Vice Mayor was it's very important, based upon a lot of the HOAs and the insurance rates that they are paying, where could we include it? So one suggestion was to include it on our website under the fire department. And so the map is currently there, and the language that the Vice Mayor requested, which came directly out of the map, is also reflected there, such that members of the community can pull information that they may need for their insurance company that states the city of Emeryville is not in a high fire zone. Now, since that time, we have learned that our current insurance commissioner has indicated that insurance companies do not reference these CAL FIRE maps in determining insurance rates. So we could put it there. The other option, and I'm still kind of working through this, as I spoke with the Vice Mayor about where else could we potentially put it so that members of the community could access it. Is there some other plan such that we could adopt the hazard mitigation plan as it is being presented to you all tonight, since staff has spent an incredible amount of time working on it? And I have not come up with a second location for it, but that is why it's on the fire department page now. Thank you.
Thank you, LaTanya. So I think my initial question still remains, which is if the document says there's no fire risk, it doesn't seem, however many ways we rephrase that, it's going to change the underlying message. So at this time, I don't see a compelling reason to revise the document, especially if the phrasing might just be nice to have at this point. We've discussed this item quite a bit. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Madam Clerk, the roll.
Councilmember Pryforce.
I'll vote after Member Carr, so I'll skip for me.
So it's spelled out in the rules of procedure how the voting works. And so it's by alphabetical order of council member, followed by vice mayor, followed by mayor.
Okay. Then
I can make a substitute motion then.
Okay.
I'll make the substitute motion to amend the plan with the language that was suggested and which is on our website, so that it gives people more clarity in order to get their HOA insurance in the right pool.
Is there a second for the substitute motion?
Second.
Madam Clerk, the roll for the substitute motion.
Councilmember Pryforce.
Aye.
Councilmember Solomon.
No.
Councilmember Welch.
Nay.
Vice Mayor Carr.
Aye.
And Mayor Mora.
Nay.
Motion fails. On the initial motion, Councilmember Pryforce.
Nay.
Councilmember Solomon.
Aye.
Councilmember Welch.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Carr.
Nay.
And Mayor Mora.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Next, we have a public hearing, item 11.1. This is a introduction and first reading of an ordinance of the City Council of Emeryville amending section 7.01 of Chapter 7 of the Emeryville Municipal Code regarding delegation of authority to the Public Works Director and designees to approve plan or design improvements to public property. I'd like to note that I will open the public hearing on this item. However, we are going to continue this item to the next meeting, or to the meeting on October 7th. So as a matter of formality, because it's been noticed, I will now open the public hearing on this item. The time is 8:40. And I will not close the public hearing. And do I have that right, Madam Clerk?
Yes, Mayor, you'll continue the item to the next regular meeting on October 7th.
Okay, so this item will be continued. Next, we have no action items, and then department head reports.
No report this evening.
And future agenda item requests from council members. Members, are there any future agenda item requests?
I have not had the opportunity to discuss this agenda item with staff, but it is regarding a web page, and it is regarding the Know Your Rights tab on the web page. I just wanted to be on a separate one instead of being hidden in the under residence tab or some other. It should be its own tab for at least that purpose. It should be clear to people where to find that information. If that's the purpose of our website, we should make our website transparent, clear, and easy to access. It should not be a guessing game to find these things. So that's my future agenda item, to have Know Your Rights have its own separate tab for each issue that is for Know Your Rights.
This is regarding the new section of the website, the new page for Know Your Rights, but your item is to discuss the navigation on the website, how one would get to that page. Is that right?
Sure. I mean, if you want to couch it that way, it's just a simple agenda item to state that Know Your Rights should have its own separate tab.
So,
people
well,
have
actually,
no
my concern is that there's actually more, in terms of the language, the placement of the page, it might require a more detailed discussion, and I'm wondering if that's something that you'd be okay discussing at Budget and Governance.
I would even be okay just with discussing it with staff if we could just have it where it's, so we could just have it.
Member Welch,
I just
sorry.
want to note that there's no policy decision around that. That's strictly operational. So that would pivot to Madam City Manager and the staff. There's nothing for the council to discuss where the legislative body operations is the city manager.
Could the city manager comment on this issue?
Yes, Mayor, thank you. And I have been working with the vice mayor and the mayor, and I think I sent it to the council. We did not have a Know Your Rights page initially on the city's website. And even though I had not gotten a council majority, and it is an operational call, I felt like it was the right thing to do, especially considering the climate that we're in now. And so staff worked very intently to lift up a new Know Your Rights page with just about all of the information that our vice mayor has provided to us. And there are some additional edits that I've received on my operational task list, and I will certainly look at it as staff resources and capacity allows. But I'm happy to continue working on that item.
Okay, so you'll be able to work with Vice Mayor on further edits on the Know Your Rights page.
Absolutely, and I've already provided an email stating so.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Does that address the concern?
Yes, for now it does.
Okay. Any other future agenda items? Member Pryforce.
If my colleagues don't have any other thing to add, I'd like to make a request that the Pledge of Allegiance return to Council.
Sorry to interrupt. If you don't mind, I do have one myself.
Oh, no, go ahead.
So I'd like to introduce a future agenda item to ask the staff to look at potential revenue sharing models related to billboards within the city, so existing billboards, and to examine the new revenue sharing models introduced recently in Oakland for their billboards, and currently going on in Berkeley that allow those cities to benefit from the ad revenue on their billboards, and to evaluate the potential economic benefit to see if this is something worth doing in Emeryville. So with a show of hands, who would support directing staff to look into this billboard revenue sharing exploration?
Sure.
Okay, we have 5 members. Okay, Member Pryforce, go ahead.
No problem. So thank you. Yeah, so adding the Pledge of Allegiance to council chambers, I invite that discussion to return to determine should we have the Pledge of Allegiance, and I will demonstrate. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Members, with a show of hands, is there support for adding the Pledge of Allegiance back to or on a future agenda? Seeing none, the motion fails. The time is 8:47. This meeting is adjourned.